How's it going, boys? We're back at it again, and today we're going to be talking about some of the builds that I will not only be playing in Season 5, but these are some of the builds that I actually recommend in my community and the player base. Alright, not only these builds are extremely good, like when it comes to performance-wise, but they're also very easy to achieve now with the changes to magnification. Some of these builds, we can have them all with a full magnify sets, thanks to, like I said, the changes to magnifications. Now, these builds will not be obviously like the only builds that you should be playing when it comes to Season 5, but these are builds that will be performing incredibly well. These builds are very powerful. Some of them are very, like new player friendly. And like I said, these builds, I will be playing it on my stream, and these are the ones that I'm recommending if you just want to have a lot of success without having to think, what build am I going to play in Season 5? So worry not, the ones that I'm gonna go over now, I'm gonna go over the melee ones, the mage ones, and obviously the range ones, not in any specific order, but without making this any longer, let's jump right into it. And to find these builds, we're gonna go ahead and go into New World Champ. While I'm talking about New World Champ is getting major changes coming on Season 5. For those of you that have been utilizing my website, you guys know that on the phone, it's not like phone supported at the moment, and it's also not supported for vertical monitors. So if you're using New World Champ right now with the current version that it has, it is only supported on normal, horizontal monitors. But for Season 5, by the time Season 5 comes out, the new version of New World Champ is also be coming out, and that one will support everything. It will support phone, it will support the vertical monitors, and on top of that, we're also making some changes to the background because, throughout the feedback of having, this version of it, people have told me, Trick, it's very, like, CPU expensive. And I get it, because the flames in the background, whenever we go to, like, a brand new build, and all these flames right here, sometimes it's causing some load on your PC. But like I said, worry not, because we are already working on those things. But anyways, you guys, the link is still going to remain the same, and everything is going to be the same. So let's go ahead and jump into these builds. Now, when it comes to melee builds for Season 5, there is 3 builds that I'm going to be recommending. The number 1 build that I'm going to be recommending is obviously, the Leeching Bunny. The Leeching Bunny is always going to be one of those builds that is going to be very strong, especially if you're fighting in OPR, and even if you're fighting alone, right? This build is going to be consisting of a lot of life stealing with your left click. Now, as you guys can see, that is the reason why we're going with 350 strength as opposed to going with dexterity. This build is a fighter, like a bruiser build, alright? If we're going with dexterity, we'll be missing some damage and some stamina regeneration when it comes with the left clicks. Yes, you will have the cleansing with the 300 dexterity, but you're so tanky with this build and you have so much lifesteal that it doesn't really matter that you're CC for, for any duration of time, because you're gonna get woken up and you're gonna get back into the fight. Now, this build is not like a bursting build. This build is more like a fighter, like you want to fight 1v1, 1v2, 1v3. And with this build, we're going to be using the brand new artifact, which is called the Iron Heart. This one is coming in Season 5, and this one gives you a 20% more max health, meaning that if you are 200 constitution, and if you're using health in every single one of your pieces, of course, except for the Iron Heart, and you're also using health on the amulet, this one will put you like right there, like a 23,000 health, which is incredible, right? 23,000 health with shuriken heals, it's crazy. On top of that, you're going to be using Leeching Cyclone. We are not going to be using Ankh because, as you guys know, Ankh reduces a lot of your life stealing. And with this build, we're going to be using the Blood Drinker. We're going to be using life stealing on the spear. We're going to be using Leeching Cyclone, which is a lot of life stealing, all right? A lot of sustain with this build. And also, we're going to be using the Stalwart Rune of the Storm form, all right? So this one is one build that I recommend if you just like to brawl, if you like to fight, if you like to get in there. And this build, like I said, it works for 1v1s, 1v2s, 1v3s, and you can also apply this build in clumps. But because if you go to the clumps, you have abilities like Skewer, which is going to weaken everybody there that you hit. You have abilities like Perforate, which it gives you an incredible amount of fortifications. And on top of that, you're going to be using, Shield Rush, which is, again, weakens everybody in the area. If you want to go ahead and use this one over here, as opposed as this one, is up to you. If you want a little bit more defensive, you go for this route. The reason why I went for this one over here is because, as you guys notice, we're going to be using the Butcher, right? The Butcher is an ability because mostly, most of the time that we're going to be using the sword is just for that shield rush into like a whirling blade. And on top of that, as you guys notice, we're not using shield bash. The reason why we're not using shield bash is because I would like you're fighting, right? You're fighting, you're not doing like a CC setup. So you're going to be using the shield rush into the whirling blade. And thanks to this ability right here, that whirling blade is going to be doing 10% more damage. And thanks to leadership, you're also going to be doing 10% more damage. So the whole time that you're going to be fighting, well, like 80% of the time, you're going to be using the spear. The only times that you're going to be using the sword is to use that shield rush into whirling blade. Whenever you hit the shield rush, you're going to weaken them, you're going to slow them down, and then you're going to hit them with a whirling blade, which is an incredible amount of damage, right? So much damage. And on top of that, you're going to apply that bleed. And then after that, you're going to swap to the spear, and then you're going to use your skewer, you're going to use your cyclone, you're going to use your perforate. Again, it's not like a CC setup to like one-shot somebody. All of these abilities are focused on you on constantly fighting one person, two people, three people, right? Because if you're fighting several people, you hit one with a shield bash, and then you want to use like a cyclone, you're gonna wake him up immediately. If you use shield rush into shield bash and then you use whirling blade, again, you're gonna wake him immediately. Plus, if we're gonna be using shield bash, since we're using the Butcher, then we will not be able to get leaping strike. And you guys know how powerful and good leaping strike is, right? So the idea of this build, the rotation will be something like this. You're gonna hit the enemy with a leaping strike. You're gonna do like 1, 2 left clicks, and then when the window opens, you're gonna hit him with a shield rush and then whirling blade immediately. You guys know that shield rush stagger gives you the window long enough for you to hit the enemy with a whirling blade, full whirling blade, no worries whatsoever. And now the enemy, it's bleeding, the enemy, it's weakened, and the enemy, it's slow. At this point, you're gonna swap up to the spear, and then you're gonna hit him with that, skewer. You're gonna hit him with a perforate, or you're gonna hit him with a cyclone. It's a very, very good build if you just want to bruise around, fight around. And yes, it's just a very, very powerful build that I'm recommending for Season 5. And this one is the Leeching Bunny. Now, the counterpart to this build, which is more into a CC setup, that is going to be the Venom Bunny. This one used to be the Bursting Bunny, but we changed it a little bit now with the introduction of Venom. And this build revolves all around hitting that enemy with a shield bash, then going behind them, hit them with a leg sweep, coup de grace. That coup de grace is going to be doing an incredible amount of damage, because as you guys know, Venom, which is the new artifact spear that is coming out, has both Trenching Strike and Trenching Crits. So this is why for this build, I 100% recommend, and not only even recommend, it is mandatory that you use shield bash. So the rotation for this build will be something like a leaping strike, a couple of left click, then when the window opens, you're gonna hit them with a shield rush, you're gonna hit them with a shield bash, you're gonna go behind them, you're gonna hit them with a leg sweep, coup de grace. That leg sweep coup de grace, since you're behind the enemy, is going to proc that Trenching Strike, that Trenching Crits. And since we're going to be putting a bleeding sweep on the spear, you're also going to apply that 28% mega powerful bleed, right? So the Venom says heavy melee attacks with either weapon cause a poison, dealing 20% weapon damage for 5 seconds, right? That is poison damage, and that is the reason why we're going Arboreal on every single one of our pieces. And on the ring, we're also going to go for nature damage. Now, as you guys see right there, we have bloodletting instead of something like poisoning. So if you're wondering why don't we go with poisoning to make that, that poison last longer, is it doesn't really make that much of an impact. 33% longers on on the poison, plus 150%, 150 dexterity. It adds roughly about 2 ticks to the poison, but the poison is only 20%, right? And if we look at coup de grace, it's 28%. So since coup de grace has more damage, we want more value for coup de grace. On top of that, we also going to be having skewers, meaning that, well, a skewered is another big bleed. It's tremendous. So that's why, since we have 2 major bleeds, that's why I went for bloodletting as opposed as for, poisoning. We went for nature damage because we're going to be putting Ember in both of our weapons. And since we have Arboreal, that means that we're going to be doing about 17-20% extra damage with nature, which is going to be the spear basic attacks. Whenever you do that coup de grace is going to be 50% physical and 50% nature, but it's not really going to be 50% nature. It's going to be like 70% nature thanks to arboreal and also nature damage. If we were to go for an opal, instead of being like 17%, then it will only be about 9% extra damage as opposed to have, you know, again, more nature damage. And also that 17% is also going to affect the 20% on the poison tip, which those two dots combined, you know, the coup de grace, bleeding sweep, and also the poison tip is going to add 2 debuff to the enemy, which they're going to be at roughly, the poison is going to be about 500, and then the bleed is going to be about like 500 to 600 as well. And this thing lasts, so with 150 dexterity, poison tip lasts 6 seconds. And with bloodletting and 150 dexterity, the bleeding sweep lasts like, is like 11 seconds. So in those 6 to 11 seconds, you're going to be doing around 5 to 7,000 damage to the enemy just in those dots, right? Coup de grace, since you have Trench and Crit and Trench and Strike, that one alone is going to be doing like 4 to 5,000 damage. So with one ability, you'll be able to take about, you know, 10 to 12,000 of the enemy's HP. And that is why this build, it's 100% one of my top recommended builds. Shit, I recommend this build if you want to be more of an assassin kind of type, right? If you find a light player and you hit him with a shield rush, shield bash, you go behind them and you hit him with a coup de grace, bleeding sweep, done. They are completely done. An archer, done. A mage, done. The only one that can save them if they use like ice block or if they run in an incredible amount of vigor. But Venom, the Venom bunny in season 5, this is gonna be a powerhouse. Once again, we're gonna have the 200 constitution, and we're going to be running health and shuriken heal in every single one of our pieces, which again, we're going to be having 23,000 HP. Now, imagine a medium player with 23,000 HP that has so much power in just one little combo, right? And that is why the Venom Bunny, it's one of these builds that I 100% recommend for Season 5. Now, when it comes to the third build, you can go ahead and use some of the light builds like the harassment. I show you guys this one on stream, as you need to update this one a little bit. It's you know, the gear here is not super updated, but as you guys know, the harassment is a very good build. Not as good as the Venom Bunny when it comes to pretty much everything, but if you would like to play like Sword and Shield and Flail as a light player, you can also do that. So we're going to be jumping into another melee weapon, which this is sort of like a slash melee slash range, right? And this one is the build that I myself personally going to be playing in Season 5 as soon as that one comes out. And this build is going to be the Spin to Win. The Spin to Win will be utilizing the Tempest Fury. And the Tempest Fury, for those of you that tried it, is super fun. It's a super fun great axe because you can spin 12 times continuously without stopping. It was like a little bug that was happening that sometimes, you know, it was stopping midway, but hopefully they fix that by the time the Season 5 comes out. For this build, we'll also be going medium with a 200 constitution, and we're going to be using, once again, Ironheart. Ironheart is just an incredibly piece of equipment, all right? It's possibly the best, single-handedly the best artifact for the gear when it comes to any sort of like medium melee build, right? For bruisers and for, well, Spin to Win, or for the Venom Bunny. If you want to have like a fighter sort of build, then Ironheart is the one that you want to go with. And if you're gonna go with Ironheart, then once again, I continue to say I recommend health and shuriken heal, because having 23,000 HP and proccing a shuriken heal, it's so much health, because shuriken heal depends on how much health you have. The more health you have, the more it heals you. The less health you have, the less it heals you. We're going to be using Ankh with this build because this build doesn't have any life stealing whatsoever. So it's all gonna come from the all of the sustain is gonna come from the shuriken heals, right? For the Great Axe build, we didn't go for any of the healing, as you guys can see over here. Now, the reason why we're only using the first animation of the Reap is because we're going to be using it with the Blunderbuss. And if you guys don't know, you can go ahead and Reap, and in the animation of Reap Stagger, you can swap to the Blunderbuss and hit them with a Shrapnel Blast in their face. The Shrapnel on the Blunderbuss, we're going to be using Jasper, because a lot of the times that we're using this Blunderbuss, we're going to be in the face of the enemy getting hit 1, 2, 3 times, and we're going to get that, you know, that 20%, 18% increased damage. So whenever the enemy's on your face, you're getting hit, right? Because we're tanky. We're very tanky. We have heavy piece over here. We have a heavy piece over here, medium over here with an incredible amount of health. We also have shuriken heal. So we're going to be taking hits to the face. So do not be afraid, right? Don't be afraid. So this blunderbuss, the moment that we get hit 3 times, and, you know, we're going to be hitting when the Shrapnel Blast is going to be doing a lot of damage. The Splitting Grenades is going to be doing a lot of damage. And even the Net Shot empowered by 20% damage is going to be huge. Now, as you guys can see here on the Tempest Fury, we went with Thwarting Strike because the main damaging ability of this build is going to be Whirlwind. And Whirlwind, you know, Tempest Fury comes with Fortifying Whirlwind, which is going to give us an incredible amount of 45s. Let me make it here a little bit big so you guys can see. So essentially, every hit of the Whirlwind is going to give us 16% slash damage. And it's going to give us, I mean, 16% fortification and 13% slash damage. And this thing stacks up to 5 times. So you do the math. 5 times 16, it's like, I don't know, 80, 70, somewhere like up there. And 13% times 5, that is going to be like 65% increased damage as long as we're spinning, right? So we do an incredible amount of damage. Now, here's the thing. Since we're going to go with 350 strength, you guys know that the 200 strength threshold, it says, whenever the enemy is slow or stunned or, you know, basically succeed, you do 10% more damage to them. And that is where the blunderbuss is going to come in handy. We're going to be using the Net Shot on the enemy, and we're also going to be using Crippling on the ring. As you guys notice right there, it slows that you apply lasts 32% longer. And this one over here makes Net Shot last 7 seconds. So 7 seconds plus Crippling, it puts it like almost on 10 seconds of an enemy being slowed by Net Shot. So the idea of this build is you hit him with a Net Shot, then you immediately proceed to get close to the enemy with a charge. You hit him with a Reap, and then you start spinning. The enemy is going to be slowed by the Net Shot, right? The enemy, and whenever you hit him with a Net Shot, since we have exhausted Net Shot right here, that means that any dodge that they have, or even if they're like out of stamina, and you hit him with that Net Shot to initiate your combo, their stamina regeneration is going to be complete garbage. And then whenever you get close to them, you're going to proceed to hit them with that Reap. We're going to be having Reap on a piece of armor right here, which is another 30% slow for 4 seconds. But since we have Crippling, it's going to be about 6 seconds. So the entire time that you're fighting the enemy, they're going to be slow. So you're going to be doing that 10% extra damage from 200 strength. And that means that almost every single one of your Tempest Fury Whirlwind hit is not going to miss because the enemy can barely move. This enemy is going to be super slow, right? So yes, we're going for the charge. We're going to go for the Whirlwind, and we're going to with the Reap. We also have Net Shot. So within Charge, Whirlwind, and Net Shot, those are 3 mega mobility abilities. So you are medium, but you have an incredible amount of mobility. On top of that, we're going to be using Bloodthirst right here. I forgot the name of these things. Bloodlust, right? So whenever you're facing the enemy, you're going to be running super fast with them. So not only this build is impossible for any single class in the game to be able to escape from it, because you're gonna have Bloodlust, you're gonna have Charge, you're gonna have Whirlwind, you're gonna have Reap. And if for those of you that did not see how Whirlwind works with this artifact, essentially you get like a 30% movement and speed the moment that you activate Whirlwind. Whirlwind spins 12 times. So I tested this in the PTR. If you use Whirlwind, you advance an incredible amount, like super fast. If somebody's running away from you, you cannot do this shit, you know? But you can do this shit. And it's so much distance that you can cover that nobody can run faster than you. On top of that, you have Grid, which it gives you immunity to like knockbacks, knockdown, stagger, etc., right? So you're going to have the Charge to close in distance. You're going to have the Whirlwind to close in distance. You're going to have the Reap to close them into you, right? And slow them down. You're going to have the Net Shot. It is so much. This build is so freaking good. It is also a very complete build because you have survivability with the Iron Heart and Shuriken heals, right? And the health. You're going to also have an incredible amount of mobility to disengage and engage into the enemy. We're going to be using this build with the Stalwarts, Harun, you know, the Stormform, which again, more survivability. We're going to be using it with Ankh, meaning that whenever you do a Shuriken heal with Ankh, oh, you guys know that it's 25% stronger. We're going to be using Healthy Toes and Regenerating. Healthy Toes with Ankh, it's 25% stronger, and regenerating with 23,000 HP. It is so much HP that you get every second. this one is the build that if you want to have fun, go for this one. If you want to spin to win, go for this one. Whenever Season 5 drops, this is the one that you're gonna see me playing. This is, I already have the whole set, by the way. I already have the whole set ready to go. So as soon as Season 5 hits, I'm gonna go into the 10-man trial thingy and try to get Tempest Fury the #1 day and see if I can get it. And immediately jump into the OPR so I can start having fun with that. So that one does it for some of the melee builds. So let's go ahead and jump into a range build that I want to talk very, very quickly before I forget. And that one is going to be this one right here called the Toxic Arrows. Now, the Toxic Arrows, this build, it consists all around dots, right? This build consists all around dots. And on top of that, this build also have shuriken heals with a tumbler feed wrap, which it means you're going to have a lot of survivability, right? Because you're going to be on usually far from the enemy, hitting them with a poison arrow, rain of arrow, explosive arrow. And for those of you that don't know, there's this brand new artifact called the Sin. This is a hatchet artifact that it says debuff lasts 25% longer, works with both weapons. So that means that your poison arrow is gonna last 25% longer. Your rain of arrow, 25% longer. Your explosive arrow, 25% longer. And not just those things, right? Also, Kingly Jagged is gonna last 25% longer. We're gonna go with the 3 hatching abilities, which this is a mega rend, you guys know. So that rend is gonna last 25% longer. Poopy Throw, Exhaust, and Anti-Heal 25% longer. And Social Distancing, this one is going to be our bread and butter whenever the enemy gets close to you. Why? Because we're going to be using Refreshing Distancing Throw on the hatchet, which whenever Social Distancing attack within 6 meters, reduce the cooldown by 45%. Meaning that you're going to be from a distance, throwing the Poopy Throw, the Rendering Throw, Poison Arrow, Explosive Arrow, Rain of Arrows, just gonna random shit go, right? And then if the enemy comes close to you, then worry not, right? Because as soon as the enemy comes close to you, you hit him with a, with a distancing throw. And if you connect that distancing throw, the cooldown of distance, of social distance, since we also going to be having 1, 2, 3, and 4 refreshing, the cooldown of social distancing. On top of that, 25 focus. The cooldown of social distancing is only like 3 seconds, meaning that every single time any melee player gets close to you, you hit him with a social D. That social distancing root and slow, because for those of you that don't know, social distancing also slow the enemy as long as you hit an enemy that has a dot on them, which it's no brainer because every single one of our ability is a dot, essentially, right? So the root is gonna last 25% longer, the slow is gonna last 25% longer. And the fact that you're gonna have social D every 3 seconds as long as you hit the enemy, that means that no melee player can ever get close to you. And if you hit them with a social D, then they're rooted, meaning that you can hit them with an explosive arrow, or you can hit them with a rendering throw, and then poopy throw, then swap to the bow, poison arrow, and you're just gonna see them wither away. On top of that, we're gonna be going with the bio bomb, right? The cunning is the one that slows the enemy, stamina regeneration, reduction for the enemy, and damage over time. The hard run, the bio bomb, it's nature damage, meaning that bio bomb is gonna be doing 7% more damage. And if you guys didn't know, it's also a poison damage, meaning that if you hit the enemy with bio bomb, the bio bomb dot lasts 32% longer on them, on top of the 25% longer. So you guys can see how this build is just incredibly toxic, hence the toxic arrows, right? So you hit an enemy with a bio bomb, and all of a sudden that bio bomb that is supposed to last what, like 6 seconds? That thing is gonna last like 10 freaking seconds. Poison arrow is gonna last like 15 to 16 seconds, even more. And you guys know that poison arrow is like a 500, 600, 700 tick, especially since we're gonna go with 350 dexterity, 150 con, 50 intelligence, which means whenever the enemy has a dot, that you deal more damage to them, right? We're gonna go for 50 focus, simply because that extra 25 points, we can put it, you can put it on strength if you want to do more damage with your basic attacks. Or you can put it on focus if you want your shuriken heal, so heal you for a little more. That decision is honestly up to you. Now, for this build, if you want, I haven't been able to test it myself, but if you feel like it, you can go for Nature's Wrath. That way you can do 20% more damage with all of your things. Unfortunately, you guys know that the PTR, it's closed, and I haven't been able to test a lot of this build with all of the artifacts. And of course, the moment that Season 5 hits live, I will be able to update this build and let you guys know if this build needs to be updated. Until that happens, at least the idea is there, right? You have your theory crafting, you're like, oh my god, I need to get this syncretic bow. Let me go ahead and get go ahead and get your Tango Vine earring and your life loop. That way you can start getting ready. And whenever Season 5 hits, all you gotta do is just jump into my stream. Yo, Trek, for the Toxic Arrow, what are we doing? Are we using the Tumbler Shoes, or are we going to be using the Nature's Wrath? And I'll be able to tell you there. The good thing about the Tumbler Shoes is that it still is an S tier artifact, especially if you dodge an attack, because the moment that you dodge an attack, you're gonna get that 25% fortification. You're also gonna get that 15% in power, and you know that it heals you for even more. So while the Tumbler Shoes give you more survivability, the Nature's Wrath will give you more damage output. There's one thing though, with the Nature's Wrath, you will not be able to run evasive tactic, or I forgot the name of this one. So you will be missing 15% damage from here just to gain an extra 5% damage from Nature's Wrath. So again, maybe with the Tumbler Shoes and evasive skill over here, you might be able to do not only a more damage output, but you will also be able to have more survivability. And once again, this is going to be my favorite bolt build, and possibly one of the best bolt builds coming Season 5 when it comes to OPR, open world, and even dueling. Because just think about it, the moment the fight starts, you hit the enemy with a poison arrow, then you start throwing your freaking hatchets over there, you have an explosive arrow, it's a bunch of AoE, a lot of cooldown, a lot of abilities for you to throw to the enemy. This one is going to be so freaking good, and I also recommend this build 100%. When it comes to the healer builds, you guys know that the Slapper, this build right here, this build is basically not changing whatsoever from Season 4 to Season 5. This build is still an S tier build for it comes to like 1v1s, 1v2, small scale arenas, and also OPR. This build is an incredibly bully, and if you guys, again, if you guys haven't seen this build, you guys haven't jumped into my stream, then here, let me explain how this build essentially goes. By using Healing Breeze on the ring and having Vengeance, right, you basically use one Orb of Protection on your feet, and you will immediately get about 18 stack, because Healing Breeze, you know, hits you with 6 seconds, then the Orb of Protection hits you for like, it's like 10 seconds, so you get like 16 to 18 stack, depending if you hit also one of your allies. And the good thing about it is that the cooldown of these two things, they synergize very well with Orb of Protection. So you can have an uptime Orb of Protection on you always, so you have that fortification, and you have those two healing ticks constantly healing, keeping you at 20% empowerment. So that way you do an incredible amount of damage with the flail. The combo for this build is going to be you do left click, obviously, you know, because the enemy, it's, I don't know, freaking running away or whatnot. We're going to be having a refreshing move on the shield. There's going to be some changes. Thanks for the follow. I'm not even streaming. But hey, Travis Junkie, thank you for the follow. I'm not even streaming right now. But as I was saying, so the Night Bell round shield, unfortunately, you're no longer able to obtain the shield. So I will be making some changes between the flail and the shield. What we're going to be doing, as you guys can see, the flail has Kingly Jagged, while the shield has refreshing moves. So what I'm gonna do is we're going to put a refreshing move on the flail and Kingly Jagged on the shield. You don't have to put Kingly Jagged on the shield if you don't want to. It's 100% up to you. So like I was saying, the combo initially goes something like this. You're gonna start the fight with a smite if you want to. The reason why I want you to start the fight with a smite is because this ability right here, if you hit an enemy with a trip that is weakened by your smite, then you will apply a 15% rend on the enemy. So whenever you hit him with a smite and then you follow that up with a trip and then you hit him with your Arcane Eruption, that damage is so big because you're gonna have like 3 stacks of impairment on the enemy, and the enemy is gonna be 15% rended. And you guys know, again, if you guys haven't seen my stream, it is such a powerful, such a fun build to play with. The abilities that we're gonna go for are the 3 AoE abilities, because You're not going to be spending a lot of time healing with your life staff per se. You're only going to be using your AoE abilities to sustain yourself and your allies, and then you're going to be doing just damage with a flail. And since we have refreshing move, you're just going to be able to output an incredible amount of damage. With this build, if you play correctly, you will do equal amount of damage as you will do of healing. Nobody can beat this build currently in this meta in the game in a 1v1 scenario, unless you make an incredible amount of mistakes and you let the enemy punish you. But the only build that can beat this one, it's like a blunderbuss void gauntlet, super void cannon, which we're gonna get to that build in a second, or you know, 2-3 people with a lot of anti-heals. So this healing build I recommend for season 5, and the other healing build that I recommend is going to be the life rapier, with no other than the brand new life staff that is coming, that is called Field Medic. This life staff comes with Bless and Savior. This is the brand new best life staff that is coming in season 5. So anybody that is playing with a life staff rapier, you will drop whatever life staff you have at the moment, and you're gonna go ahead with a Field Medic. For this build, we're gonna be using Divine Embrace, you know, Sacred Ground, or Protection. And you can change your protection to Light Embrace or Beacon, or even Party Claps if you want to. But the core build, it's this one right here. This is the gear that I still recommend for it. If you don't want to use health, you can change these pieces to something else. Invigorated still is an S tier perk for healers, for like OPRs and arenas and 1v1s and open world. For wars, if you're gonna go for wars, maybe instead of having health or invigorated, you might want to go for a little bit of enchanted ward if you want more single target, you know, more protection from people hitting you with the left clicks. But we know that in wars, healers usually don't die unless you want to, and the times that you get just banged by a bunch of people hitting you with left click, it doesn't happen very often. The flamethrowers might be a bigger concern for you, and then enchanted ward will not do anything for you. But obviously, I leave that to you. And always remember, war builds, they differ from, you know, like anything else. War, it's a beast of its own. Anything else, you can use this build, right? OPR, arenas, duels, open world, the OPR arena. You know what I mean. Those are the ones that I recommend. Give me 1 second. As I was saying, so yes, this is the life staff and rapier build for season 5. Now let's go ahead and jump into some mages build, right? For the mages build, where is it? Void Gauntlet, Dead Freeze. The Dead Freeze, this build is still going to be an S tier build when it comes to season 5. And this build basically consists of you using Hades Fury with Dead Freeze. You're going to be hitting the enemy with Tether, Scream, Orb of Decay. Then you're going to be using the Storm on top of you with Ice Spike and Windshield. And it's an infinite ability spam. You guys can check this build over here if you guys want to. This video, though, was focused for Season 3/Season 4. So just take the Dead Freeze section of it so you see how it applies and how it plays. This build does not change whatsoever for Season 5. And this one is still going to be a top performing build when it comes to duels. This build is considered one of the best, if not the best, anti-melee build in the game. No melee should ever be able to beat you with this build as long as you do it properly. If you guys don't find success with this build, just please go ahead to my stream and I will be able to help you with everything that you need. And I will play the build myself, but you know, you guys know that I played with this build before. And it's an incredible powerful build, and I 100% recommend this build for season 5. Now, for those of you that have been watching my stream in the last week or two, you guys know that I have fallen in love with one specific build, and that build is the Void Cannon. I am finding so much success with this build like I have never found with almost any build before in my life. Because this build is just exactly what it is. It is a void cannon, right? It is an incredible amount of damage. Now, the one thing about this build is that, yes, you are 100 constitution. So if you are a newer player, I don't recommend this build. This build I recommend it mainly for somebody that already has all of the mechanics on point. You know the enemy's potential. You know what they can do with every single one of their weapons. And you will be able to predict and avoid all of the attacks. If you are able to not get hit with this build, which I know fundamentally that's what we want to do, but in theory it sounds great, but in reality it doesn't sound that good, right? Because you're getting hit by AoEs, a bunch of stuff. If you get hit by like a poison arrow, thanks to the void gauntlet right here, you will be able to cleanse that poison arrow, right? We're going to be using the Phoenix, which in case that we died, we have 8 seconds to grab a kill so we can survive, right? And this build kills. When I say this build kills, this build kills. And this build has the highest output damage in the entire game when it comes to one single burst. So if you hit the enemy with a net shot, since we're going to be using 200 strength, 10% extra damage, 350%, 350 intelligence, 200 strength, that is maximum blunt the boss damage. We're going to be using ignited on every single one of our gear. By the way, if you want, instead of using fire, and you want to go for full void, you can also do that. But you guys know that I'm a fire fanatic, I'm a pyromaniac, so I like my builds to be fire focused, even though people say, oh, Trek, there's a lot of fire protection out there. Worry not. Listen, if anybody nowadays it's smart, they should be using opal in every single one of their pieces of armor. Why? Because we have weapons like Boltcaster, we have weapons like Fire Staff, we have Void Gauntlet, we have Ice Gauntlet, we have the Venom Spear coming in Season 5, which is poison damage, you know, nature damage. There's so much elements. Like, if you were to tell me this 1 year ago, when it was only, you know, like Fire Staff, bow and musket and blunderbuss doing purely fire damage, and then any other magical weapon was like, you know, like very low damage, like Ice Gauntlet was not a concern, Void Gauntlet was not a concern, and the other people doing nature damage was people putting like an Amber Gem on their weapon or Life Staff. But nowadays, especially in Season 5, everybody, regardless if they're range, melee, mages, healers, they're using some sort of magical damage. So please stop focusing on just one element and go with opal. Go with opal on all of your gear, and that's going to be the best damage reduction that you can achieve when it comes to fighting a bigger spectrum of players rather than just somebody specific. So like I said, if instead you want to go with another element that is not fire harnessing and ignited, you can go for it. Worry not, it will work as well. But me, I'm fire, right? So yes, we're gonna go with a couple of fire harnessing in here. We're gonna go with ignited on every single one of piece of our gear. So ignited on every single one of piece of gear, that is 10%. The 2 harnessing is gonna be 14%. The honing stone, if you're using the powerful one, which is 7%, that'll put you at 21. If you're not using the powerful one and you use it a weaker version, that will put you anywhere from 19 to 20%. Then a keenly empowered on the blunderbuss, that's going to be 10%, so that's going to put you around 29 to 31%. And then the tether, which applies a 20%, which is going to put you somewhere from 49 to 51% empowerment, because you guys know that that is the maximum. So meaning that whenever you're fighting somebody with this build, you are guaranteed to have almost always that maximum empowerment. And on top of that, since we're going to be using slowing tether on the enemy, and you know, we have the life taker, that means that the moment that we hit the enemy with a tether and like orbital decay, or tether, by the way, tether is gonna apply two stacks of disintegrate on the enemy, which is a 20% rend, and on top of that is gonna slow him. Trick, how the hell does apply 20% rend? Well, why? Because slowing tether, the perk applies 1 stack of rend, and then negative energy from the life taker also applies another stack, meaning that that is 2 stacks of rend. So if you apply the tether and then you swap to the blunderbuss, the basic attack before Shrapnel Blast is gonna apply that 3rd stack of rend, meaning that you're gonna hit the enemy with a 50% empowered Shrapnel Blast, and you're gonna hit them on top of that, they're gonna be 30% rended. So nobody can survive this. If you hit the enemy with a tether, then you hit it with like an orb, and then you hit it with a scream, you're in their face, you hit it with a basic attack Shrapnel Blast, their entire speed goes from here to here. If you guys haven't seen it on my stream, I recommend you go and watch my VODs. I've been playing it non-stop because it's just an incredibly satisfying build. Oh my god, it's so good. On top of that, if you use a plating grenade on a clump, so much damage. Anti-heals to everybody. This is an incredibly fun build, and anybody that has seen me play this build on my stream immediately falls in love with it. And they're like, holy shit, What is this? You're just melting people. I'm like, boom, dead, boom, dead, boom, dead, boom, dead. It's just so good, so good. And it's one of those builds that you don't have to be on top of the enemy to kill them. It's one of those things that you go in and out, in and out. Either you go in, you kill them, or you go in and you don't kill them and then you bounce out, right? It is one of those. You shouldn't be staying there trying to kill them because it is like that. Most of the time, 8 out of 10 times, you're gonna achieve a kill. And in those occasions where you not get the kill is because the enemy either proc like stamina recovery and then they started dodging and they dodge your Shrapnel Blast because, you know, let's be realistic. Shit happens. And on top of that, depends who you're fighting. If you're fighting a good player, then it's not going to be as successful. But average player, this build is going to destroy them. Let's go and jump into another magical build. And that one is going to be, you know, your typical Blunderbuss and Fire Staff. Now, the Blunderbuss Fire Staff falls in the same category as like Fire Staff and Ice Gauntlet, or like Fire Staff and Abyss, or Abyss and Void Gauntlet, or Abyss and Ice Gauntlet. Like, these builds are all in that same category, but all of these builds are still mega good for Season 5 and not much changes, right? We have the Shuriken Heal Gun Mage. You guys know this is my main build until this day still. This is the build that I use in tournament. This is the build that I use if I want to get serious. Even though this build was created in Season 3, this build is equally good performing in Season 5, all right? This build is still as good as if the day that it was created. And this one is the Fire Staff Blunderbuss that you see in OPRs, you see in arenas, you see in open world. Absolutely nothing wrong with this build. So you guys can go ahead and focus on this build if you want to play that Fire Staff Blunderbuss. And brother, I think that's it. You know, there's obviously a lot more builds for me to cover right here in New World Champ. But these are the top builds that I'm recommending for Season 5, right? Not only because they are performing well, but they're also extremely fun to play. And they're new, you know, except for like the Void, the Fire Staff Blunderbuss. That build is a little bit old, but it still is relevant until this day, and it's still an S tier build, right? But some of the other builds that I just mentioned, like the Hatchet Bow, the Blunderbuss, Great Axe, the Venom with the Sword and the Shield, the Butcher with the Leeching Bunny build, the Slapper is still good, the Life Staff with a Rapier with a new Life Staff that is coming out, the Void Gauntlet, Blunderbuss. These builds are going to be incredibly good coming in Season 5. And like I said, you know, all of these builds that I have in New World Champ, they are good and they are ready to go for Season 5. But the one that I'm recommending are these that I just talked to you about. If you enjoyed this video, do not forget to hit us with a sub or a like or a sub or follow, whatever the hell you guys want to do with it. Just go ahead and spread the love and share the love, boys. I spent an incredible amount of time creating this build for the community, for you guys, because I understand that you guys don't have the time to create this build, to theory craft, to put all these things together. On top of that, you know, gather information, what is coming in Season 5, what is going to be in Season 5. So since you don't have to worry about that, and I got you, boys, just support me a little bit, right? Just support me a little bit. Anyways, other than that, I'll see you guys on my stream, which I will leave the link of my Twitch channel down below. And stay safe. Bye-bye.